all of us are searching for exactly the same thing. That feeling of complete harmony and peace that only comes from unconditional acceptance, from self-acceptance. But what we do is we think if we're not getting accepted by others, there's something about ourselves to blame. And then sometimes we blame others. So what do? How do we accept ourselves? How do we return to that feeling of complete love? Coming up next. Many of us come into this life without an uncertain identity, without a strong sense of self, and there's many reasons why. It could be a trauma at birth, a dysfunctional family, a tough childhood, or even when society gets to you and you start feeling like you're not reaching the ideals that the external world places on you. So there's all these ways that we start to feel a sense of doubt about who we truly are, and we lose the sense of our true self, which is full love, pure love, unconditional love. You were created from love. You are love. And the key in this life is to remember that and to remove all the blocks to the memory of that and the experience of that. So here's the thing. Sure, we all look to be accepted by others, but that is not what really heals us. However, it does create a block. When we look externally and we are not accepted, we start turning it inwards, thinking there's something wrong with us, thinking I am to blame for not being accepted, thinking I am the one who is off, who is wrong, who is not enough. So we do this, we internalize, and what that does is it starts to make us not accept parts of ourselves, but abandon those parts of ourselves. You know, I talk about the shadow. We put things in our shadow. This is a form of abandonment. And so we believe that something about us does not need to be focused on. It is not okay. So we abandon it. And what this does is it creates this hole within us. It creates this endless search for that thing that we have ourselves abandoned. When we abandon ourselves, parts of ourselves, what we then do to get rid of that pain of feeling like we're not allowing, to feel like we're taking away, to feel that powerlessness, what we do is there's these types of distractions. I've had many in my life. We distract ourselves from the part of ourselves that we've abandoned. We distract ourselves from ourselves because we think we're not worthy of the attention that we're actually seeking outside of us because we're not giving it to ourselves within ourselves. So, what does this look like? We distract ourselves from ourselves. What will distract you from love? A lot of fear. What will distract you from attention? A lot of attention to other things. Do you give your attention to externals, to other people, because you think that if you get their attention, you will feel that acceptance, you will feel that validation, that wholeness? Are you distracting from yourself because of jealousy? Are you focused on someone else? Are you distracting yourself with alcohol or drugs or some kind of substance so you don't have to feel that pain of being empty because you've taken yourself out of yourself, you've abandoned yourself? As a self-love practice, what I decided to do, I was calling for something deeper a few months ago. You know, on this path, it's not like, oh, you figure it out and you're done. You keep going to a deeper and deeper, more and more expanded sense of self, of love, of the universe, of how things work. The endless gifts of insight keep coming to you the more you dive into that self-love hole. I don't know if I'd call it a hole, but for now, I'm just going to call it that self-love sort of path. It's incredible. And so there's always more love to be had. It's endless. For me, a couple months ago, I was really feeling this need to get rid of distractions and to really just sit with my truth in a way that I never had before. Just full on. In the past, maybe I would have thought that was selfish, or in the past, I would have thought that was scary, or in the past, I would have thought I couldn't have handled all that might have come up. But now I was feeling so safe and secure in my own sense of self and identity as love that I thought, I want to go deeper. And how do I do that? So 44 days ago today, I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped eating as much sugar. Of course, there's still sugars in my diet, but I noticed that I was eating an abundance of sugar at nighttime in a way of, I don't know, was it comfort? I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to find out, so I cut it out. Now, for me, it's easy to do these kinds of things. It's easy for me to just say, I'm done doing that, I'm done doing that. I don't feel an addiction, but I definitely felt a dependency on the sugar. It was really interesting. So I cut out alcohol, I cut out the sugar at nighttime, and I really started paying attention to the emotions, to the parts of myself that were wanting distraction, to the parts of myself that would look outside of myself. How many hours was I spending on social media? How many times a week was I not doing my inner work, but going out there? What was going on? And it was so beautiful because all I found was a core, I don't know what I'll call it for this video sense, a core of wanting my own attention. And it's so interesting. It was almost like in the past, I didn't know that I could fulfill myself in that way, so I would look externally, right? We all do that. And then I would sort of place my power in other people and do all that. And then I would think I needed some kind of achievement to validate something. We've all done that too, right? But this time it was really about being present in my own power and allowing it and feeling comfortable with it and experiencing the deserving of it and experiencing the harmony of what that feels like to need nothing else other than your own self, your higher self, and that experience of bliss and not being afraid of it. See, this is what I noticed by doing this experience the last 44 days, is that as a pattern in my life, as soon as I would get higher, as soon as I would feel more light and more love and get closer to maintaining a higher vibration, I would either sabotage or I would deflect. I would distract. And so this was me sitting with my own presence on a longer term, regular basis to kind of bust through the fear and the need to distract from that out of an upper limits issue, a fear of my own light, which is, I feel, the kind of last horizon. It's like the last thing that we really get to feel free and safe in our own power. And so for me, I got rid of these distractions 44 days ago. And today, it's funny because every day since then, I had massive insights come forward. I mean, things about myself, things about my past, things about my present that I could have never gotten to unless I allowed myself to stay in myself in such a deep, intimate way on a regular basis with no freaking distractions to really go there and explore. So if you find yourself distracted, and you find yourself going to these things that takes you away from yourself, you are taking yourself away from your expansion, from your work, and literally your own self-love. That is the source of everything. The more we go into the loving of knowing we are something so much higher than we think that we are, of knowing we're connected to something so much more beautiful, we can call on that something at all time. We first have to be okay with sitting within it and accepting that it is us, and stop looking out there and stop distracting ourselves from what's within here and turn that external focus or distraction to an internal filling. This is how we get really in touch with the wise guide inside. A daily regimen of sitting with the feeling for the benefit of your own healing. So, self-acceptance is really about no longer abandoning ourselves to these distractions, to these fear-based thoughts, but instead sitting with the part of yourself that feels abandoned, sitting with the part of yourself that doesn't feel acceptable, sitting with all parts of yourself and saying, I choose you. Do this practice this week, you guys. Sit with yourself. When you feel like leaving, watching a show, drinking some wine, eating some sweets, whatever it is for you, stop and sit with you. Get a journal out, get a candle out, and really give yourself the attention that you are desiring. I love you all. Please share this video and check all the links below for new stuff. See you soon. Namaste.